This kid was hanging out with his friend, playing video games, eating pizza, watching a movie. Yo, this night is so fun. Then his friend's mom walks into the living room. She's carrying snacks. Right as she sets the bowl on the coffee table, she lets out an absolute monster fart. This kid immediately bites his lip. Because in his house, the entire family would be laughing. Because farts are funny. Nobody reacted. She let out a monster fart, and nobody did anything. His friend was messing with the TV. Dad was just sitting there. Not to mention the smell. The smell was so weird. He starts laughing because he can't help it. And everyone looks at him like he's crazy. What? What's up? Something happened? Hey, what's so funny? This is supposed to be a drama. Oh, nothing. He asks his friend about it later. And his friend was just like, I don't know. I guess we just don't think farts are funny. But even if it's like a super big weird one like your mom did, I guess. To him, he said that was so strange. What do you think? This kid went over to his buddy's house one day after school, and his buddy lived way out in the country. Yeah, man, this is my house. Oh, I like it. Big property, bunch of cows. They walk inside. Come on, pal, I want you to meet my parents. Okay. So he follows him into the living room. His friend's mom is sitting on the couch. His dad's in a very big reclining chair. Then he looks over at the other couch. Hi, nice to meet you. There's a full-grown cow just laying there. Looks like it's watching TV as well. Who's that? Who's what? The cow. Oh, yeah, that's Betsy. Apparently, the family raised that cow from it was a little baby. It had wandered in the house one day, jumped on the couch, and just hung out with them. So they kept letting Betsy do that. And nobody in that family thought it was weird. It was normal to them. They acted like having a 1,000-pound cow in their living room was as normal as having a golden retriever. That night, him, his friend's parents, and Betsy watched TV together. And he said, Betsy was really nice. This kid's dad owned a self-storage facility. Those places that have tons of those storage units that look like garages. Well, one summer, this kid asks his dad, Dad, can I please use one of the storage units as a hangout place for my friends? His dad said, okay, son, you can use one unit. So every Saturday, this kid would go, unlock the unit, and he would bring a bunch of stuff there. Him and his friends dragged in an old couch, a TV, a mini fridge, a folding table, a carpet. They had an extension cord. They were playing Xbox. At first, it was just 4 of them. This is awesome, right, guys? Then somebody else. Pretty soon, every afternoon, there was like 20 middle schoolers hanging out at this storage unit. It was like the world's smallest clubhouse, but it was awesome. There were rules. There was snacks and drinks in the fridge, their very own secret headquarters. The funniest part, all these kids' parents thought they were just hanging out at somebody's house. And this went on for the entire summer. Then one afternoon, one of these kids' moms has her pick him up at this place. She gets there and she's like, this isn't somebody's house. But then she sees a bunch of bikes out front, so she goes inside. She looks around. She starts hearing a noise. What is this? She knocks on the unit door where the noise is coming from. They open it, and she sees like 15 guys playing Xbox inside. What's going on here? Oh no! And instead of being a cool mom, she was super mad. Threatened to call the police. Threatened to expose this kid's dad. And after that, it was shut down. And all I know is, that mom sucks. I ate half my meatloaf, but she said it wasn't enough. So one day, this kid goes through the lunch line. He gets his lunch tray, meatloaf, peas, chocolate milk, all that stuff, which meatloaf for lunch is crazy, but anyway. He eats a little bit of it. Obviously, it's not that great, so he throws it in the garbage. But a lunch monitor sees this happen and walks over, like she caught him shoplifting. You're wasting school resources. If you're not gonna eat, don't take food. I wasn't hungry. Well, next time you're eating alone, she writes him up on the spot, and the next day he has lunch detention. He walks in expecting to be alone, but there's another kid already sitting there. Very similar story. He didn't finish his corn and got written up by the same lunch monitor. Both of them go home that day and tell their parents. And the parents, they do not take this lightly. Calls get made, emails are sent. Apparently, this lunch monitor has been doing this all year, punishing kids for not cleaning their trays, for not eating every last bite. By the end of the week, she is pulled from the lunchroom. Next week, there's another lady taking her spot. New lunch monitor and a totally better vibe. From then on, if you weren't hungry, you could just throw your food out. What a concept. That lady's insane. You wrote her up for being sad? She was off task. She was human. You should try it sometime. So this girl's having a rough week. Family stuff, friend drama, just life. She sits down in third period. Math class. Doesn't say a word. Just starts doing her warm-up problems. But tears are falling from her eyes. Quiet and soft. The teacher then walks over to her. Hi, do you need to go to the nurse? Or are you gonna disrupt my class all period? The girl doesn't respond. She just wipes her face and keeps writing. Alright, disruption it is. She writes her up. A full-blown referral. Disruption to learning environment. Ignoring teacher. She then sent her out into the hallway. Not the counselor, not the nurse, to the hallway. And told her to stay there. Later, she shows her mom the slip. Oh my god, sweetie, this is not okay. They punished you for having feelings? The next morning, the mom shows up to the front office. She then walks to the classroom. Class has already started. The teacher looks up. Oh, so crying is disruptive now? You ever heard of empathy, or did they leave that out of your training? This isn't the time or the place. No, I think it is. You humiliated my daughter for feeling something, and you made it public when you wrote her up in front of the entire class. The students are dead silent. Some of them on the edge of their seat like they're watching a frickin' courtroom drama. Print a new referral, this time with your name on it. Come on, sweetie, let's go. And she takes her daughter home for the rest of the day. Please tell me y'all don't have teachers like this, because that's messed up. Are you coming to gym class? Nah, man, I got court. Wait, what? This kid, 7th grade, shows up to school one day in a full-blown suit. Tie, dress shoes, everything. He's carrying a briefcase, everyone's confused, and he just goes, I got court during gym class today. Turns out, this kid started a full-blown student court system. He printed a summons, he made a self-made courtroom in the corner of the library, and he even made a logo. Every charge was student-related. Chewing annoyingly with your mouth open, cutting the lunch line, stealing pencils, and you could plead guilty or go to trial. State your case. She skipped me in line. Do you have any witnesses? Yes, Your Honor, 5 of them. People start requesting trials for dumb stuff. The teachers hear about it, and they think it's absolutely hilarious. Until one day, this kid was messing around and tried to summon the principal to court. For what? For having a terrible haircut. Yeah, the principal didn't take this very well, and he obviously shut it down right then and there. In total, this kid held 17 court cases. I don't know where he got out of all this, but it's honestly genius. Is this gym class? Worse. Mascot tryouts. It started with a flyer. Mascot tryouts, Friday, gymnasium. Winner gets the suit. There was a few sign-ups on the sheet already, but this one freshman was really taking this seriously. He wanted to be the mascot. So he attends the tryouts. He shows up in gym shorts and he brought a water bottle. He's ready to wave, dance, and maybe do a backflip or something. Whatever mascots do, you know? Well, he walks in and the bleachers are packed. The gym is set up like a full-blown obstacle course. We're talking cones, hurdles, floor mats, tunnels. And the seniors are lining the walls, each of them holding a dodgeball. He's confused. He's like, what the heck is this? Well, one student with a clipboard stands up and shouts, Contestant 7, step up, please. And that's him. He steps up to the line and he's about to go through this obstacle course. The whistle blows. The first section, crawl under chairs without tipping them. Easy. Next were the hurdles. He clears them. Then he hits the gauntlet. He has to get from one side of the gym to the other. But as he crosses, the seniors with the dodgeballs are chucking it at him. Well, he tucks and he sprints. He takes one to the face, but he keeps moving. He makes it through and the gym is going crazy. The final challenge is called Protect the Cone. It's a single orange traffic cone sitting on a mat. They hand him a foam baton and say, all right, final challenge, don't let anyone touch the cone for 30 seconds. Okay. And suddenly students are charging towards the cone from every direction. He spins, dives, blocks one with his leg, and time. The gym erupts. Then quiet. The judges, who are just seniors in safety vests, they huddle up. Judges, come on. So what do we think? Huh? After a few seconds, one of them yells, we have a new mascot! They hand him the suit. They tell him first game's on Friday. And he shows up. And he absolutely crushes it. Dumb reasons people got in trouble at school. It was grade school and it was the end of the day. This kid got on his bus, but the bus driver had to wait a few minutes to leave because there were still some students making their way to the bus. So the bus driver suggested they sing a song. All right, students, we're gonna be heading out here soon, but while we wait, let's do a little sing-along, okay? Let's sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's when this one kid said this. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star sucks. What did you say to me? Twinkle Twinkle Little Star sucks? That's it. The driver then went back to where this kid was sitting and dragged him off the bus and pulled him by the arm to the principal's office. Come on, come on! What the heck? Yeah, Miss Henley, this kid threatened me. You should give him a detention, make him stay. I did not! Sit down. I'm calling your parents. His parents were then called and they were forced to pick him up. They raised this issue to the school superintendent. He then checked the footage of the bus, and they obviously saw that this kid didn't do anything that bad. In fact, the bus driver shouldn't have grabbed him like that. He was fired. Yo, why is Tyler working in the hallway? Because democracy is brutal. So this one teacher had a rough week. The class was loud all week, no one listened to her, it was a total chaos week. Friday comes around and instead of teaching, she says, "Clearly something's wrong with this class dynamic, so let's fix it." She pulls out a stack of paper slips, passes them around, and says, "I want each of you to write down the name of the student that you think is holding back this class. Be honest." Kids start looking around. They're confused. And don't worry, this will be anonymous. They all write quietly. Slip by slip, she collects them, throws them into a box. Then she starts reading them out loud. Tyler, Tyler, Tyler. Sometimes Emma, but mostly Tyler. Tyler again. By the 10th one, Tyler's head is just on his desk. He can't believe this. Well, Tyler, it looks like your classmates think you're the issue. You have anything to say to that? He doesn't. Okay, so Monday you'll be sitting in the hallway during class, doing solo work until further notice, and the rest of the class just stared at him because Tyler had been quite literally democratically voted out of the class. That is actually insane. He rarely talks, he doesn't ask questions, he just fixes stuff. Every school's got that one person who just handles everything. At this school, it was the janitor. He was a quiet dude, always wore the same faded button-up. He never ran, never seemed to be in a rush. He just walked around like he had all the time in the world. But somehow, whenever something went wrong, he was always there. Locker jammed? You'd turn around and he'd be there already, crouching down with some tools. Happens when it rains. You're good to go. Popping it open in 2 seconds. Projector broke during a presentation. Teacher's panicking, and from the back of the room, "Mind if I take a look?" Vending machine eats your dollar. He doesn't even ask. He just walks up, slaps the machine, and boom, there's your chips. Walks away. Like a freaking legend. Like I said, he was quiet and he barely talked, but he always showed up at the exact right moment. One time, a kid twisted their ankle during gym class, and the gym teacher was freaking out. 15 seconds later, here he comes with an ice pack and a rolly office chair. "Have a seat right here. Put this on your ankle. Mr. Stevens, I'm rolling him to the nurse's office. Okay, you guys have a great class. Come on." He wasn't nosy. He didn't snitch on anybody. He just fixed things. And when someone would say thank you, he would just nod and say, "That's what I'm here for." Best janitor ever. Oh, is she just on TikTok right now? I guess we can all be on our phones then. No phones in class. What? So this teacher at this one school was just done. She was tenured, bitter, and she didn't even fake it anymore. She walked in late almost every single day, never brought in her laptop, and gave students independent reading like 5 days a week. But this time, she just kind of took it a little too far. She walked in 10 minutes late, holding Starbucks, sat down at her desk and said, "I'm not really in the mood today, class, so just pretend I gave you something to do." Then she pulled out her phone and didn't even put headphones on. She just started scrolling on TikTok full volume while sipping her coffee. The whole class looked around like, wait, what are we supposed to do? But naturally, a few people pulled out their phones as well. You know, I guess it's totally fine to be on our phone today, they thought. Absolutely not. No phones allowed. I don't want to hear a sound from you guys. Silent. Do something, but be silent. They're like, you're literally watching TikToks in front of us. What the heck's your problem? That's when one kid pulled his phone back out. Not to scroll, but to record a video.
If I post myself and I don't care how cheap something is, if
biggest flashlight.
Just a quick video, her at her desk watching TikTok full volume, sipping her coffee, and the rest of the class sitting in silence. He posted it that night. Next day, 40,000 views. Somebody sent that video to the principal. The next day, the principal pulled him aside and asked him to take the video down. But instead of getting mad, he said this, "Thank you for sharing that. We're gonna use it." They're going to use it, he says. By sixth period, the superintendent showed up at the school. He walked straight into that classroom. The principal was behind him. They asked that teacher to step out in the hallway. She never came back in. The next day, they had a sub. Good. That teacher should definitely not be teaching. Yo, I think the cap fell off the milk. Oh, we always keep it like that. It's so the milk can breathe. I'm not drinking that. It was this dude's first time visiting his friend's house, and everything seemed normal for like 5 seconds, you know. He walks into the kitchen, and he notices that there are no lids on anything. No cap on the milk, no lid on the orange juice. Peanut butter jar open, the soap bottle open. Hey, you guys forgot to put the lids back on, everything. Nah, bro, my mom says lids trap bad energy. Everything's gotta breathe. Even the milk. especially the milk. He watches in horror as his friend pours himself a glass of milk from the open jug. He sits down for dinner, and he notices this kid's mom is bringing over a jar of spaghetti that's been sitting out on the stove all day without a lid. And earlier in the day, he saw flies around it. She notices this kid's uncomfort. Oh, don't worry, sweetie. This is all still good. It's just had to breathe all day. At one point, he looks over to the kitchen counter and he sees the dog licking the butter that's sitting on the open butter tray. Hey, what? And nobody's saying a word about it. Throughout the entire meal, he's pushing his food around, pretending that he's eating it. But he's not going to touch this stuff. And everybody else is chowing down like it's a Thanksgiving meal. After that, he always gave an excuse whenever he was invited back to that house. Oh, sorry, my mom said I can't, leave the house on Tuesdays. Because to him, one visit to the no-lid house was enough for a lifetime. Yeah, I agree. What kind of club are you running here? The best kind? One day at this one school, this student figured out that you don't need a teacher sponsor to start a club. All you had to do was fill out a form, write a purpose, and show that there was student interest. This one kid, he invented a club that he called the Indoor Nature Appreciation Society. He said it was for students who loved nature but hated going outdoors. He made posters with stock photos of trees and waterfalls. He took fake meeting photos with his friends. He even listed fake officers. President, himself. Vice president, also himself. He submitted the paperwork and nobody questioned it. A week later, the club got approved. A month later, it got funded. A $500 budget. He spent all of this money on snacks, custom t-shirts, a giant banner with a fake logo, and a director's chair for himself for some reason. After a while, the principal pulled him aside and said, "There's no way this is a real club." He just shrugged and said, "I mean, we do appreciate nature, just from a distance." The best part is he would schedule actual events called observation hours. This is where they would drag 5 or more chairs and put it in front of a big window in the library. And they would all just sit there for 45 minutes, looking out the window. Look, a bird. Oh, nice catch. The principal, who was already suspicious, came by. Okay, what exactly is this? Shh, we're appreciating. Yeah, eventually the club got shut down, but the t-shirts, they wore those almost every day for the rest of the year. Did they ever find out who did it? Nope. And it drove him insane. So there's this one principal, old school, super strict. Hates nonsense, hates funny business, he's got zero chill. Well, one day he walks into his office, and there's a single crouton sitting on his desk. Dead center. No note, no explanation, just sitting there. He doesn't think too much of it, so he tosses it in the garbage. The next day, another one. Same spot, still no message. Day after that, again. He starts asking around. Alright, who's messing with me? Huh? Who's the crouton person? Huh? No one knows. So he checks the cameras, but there's no camera inside his office, just the hallway outside of the door. In that hallway, there's tons of kids coming in and out of the office all day. Teachers, office aides, too many faces, there's no way to tell who left it in there. So he tries to stop it. He begins locking the door when he's not there. He still gets a crouton. He moves his desk, still gets a crouton. He leaves a sticky note. Whoever this is, please stop. The next day, a new crouton, sitting on a napkin that says, "Respectfully." This goes on for months and he never figures it out. Never gets an answer and never catches this crouton person. And then one day, it just stops. Nothing. The desk stays empty. No note, no crumb, no crouton. He retires the next year, but the day he left that job, he put a framed photo on the wall of the crouton sitting on a napkin, and below it, it said, "Unsolved." That picture is still hanging in that office to this day. So this mom sends her son to preschool. He's 5, super nice kid, and he loves the lunches she packs for him. They're not normal lunches or whatever, but they're his favorites. Celery sticks with blue cheese and goat cheese, a little bit of kimchi and spam, they're Korean, and a few spicy Doritos tossed in sriracha. What a bold lunch. And honestly, that sounds freaking awesome. Let's go. Anyway, a few hours after she picked him up one day, she gets a call from the teacher, and the teacher doesn't even try to be nice. "Hi, yeah, I need you to stop packing your son such disgusting and inappropriate lunches." The mom's like, excuse me? Yes, they're distracting other students, they smell disgusting, and they are just definitely not school appropriate. And keep in mind, this is preschool. And this teacher's going full-on Gordon Ramsay about a 5-year-old's lunch. The mom is stunned. She says this, "Look, I know it's not the healthiest, but he loves it. It's some of what he eats at home, and it's just comforting for him." "Well, it's making the classroom uncomfortable." So the mom wraps it up like a professional. I appreciate your concern, lady, but I am not going to completely change my son's lunches just because some other students are distracted by what he eats. Okay, bye. And she hangs up. For real though, where does this teacher get off? An hour later, ding. An email from the teacher. This email is saying that the mom's response was unacceptable and that these lunches are just too inappropriate to be sent to school anymore. What? Celery, goat cheese, blue cheese, kimchi, spam? What is wrong with that? This teacher banned a 5-year-old's lunch because she is an ignorant piece of work. Yeah. Water's a reward. You don't just get it because you're thirsty. This house is a desert. At this house, water wasn't a right. It was a privilege. Every day after school, this kid had the same rule. No exceptions. Drop your backpack, sit at the table, and do your homework. No TV, no snacks, no water. His mom would say it every day. Water is a reward, not a right. Well, one day he gets home, absolutely dying of thirst. He makes a quiet move towards the kitchen. He almost reaches the faucet. Don't even think about it. She's already standing there, arms crossed. Homework first. So he's at the kitchen table, math textbook open, mouth dry as sandpaper, watching the faucet drip. 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 He finishes his homework. He gives it to her. Messy work. Do it again. Bro almost passed out right there. When he finally earned a glass of water, she handed it to him like a prize at a carnival. Here's your water. You did really good. The next day at school, he took extra water fountain breaks because he never knew how his mom would act when he got home from school. You kids need to be more responsible. You first. In this one class, late homework gets you an immediate 0. No excuses, and this teacher was brutal about it too. If you can't turn it in on time, you fail. Life doesn't give you extensions, kids. And the thing is, she assigned homework all the time. You know, every week, new homework, the kids would turn it in, but then, listen to this, but then, nothing. No feedback, no grades, nothing gets returned to them. Well, one day, this kid named Johnny, he kind of snaps. Hey miss, just wondering, if life doesn't give you extensions, where's all of our graded homework from the last month? Excuse me, I'm very busy, Johnny. I have a life too, you know. Can't believe you. Well, you know what? Maybe you should finish your homework before you hand us out more, you hypocritical... Office? Now. That's fine, but I'm going to tell Mr. Stevens that he should probably have a look inside your gradebook. Okay, bye. Funny enough, by the next morning, the student portal of that class had been completely updated. She had graded everything. And during class the next day, she changed the late work policy. No snack, no participation points. But it's my birthday. This one teacher at this one school made a new rule. If your birthday falls on a school day, you have to bring a snack for the entire class. No exceptions. It didn't matter if your family couldn't afford it. It didn't matter if you forgot. If you didn't bring snacks, you would get your participation points docked for the whole week. And the teacher would call you out in front of everybody. So this one kid, Tyler, it's his birthday and it's a Tuesday. He doesn't bring anything. And the teacher just lights him up. Oh, no snacks for your friends, huh, Tyler? How selfish are you? The whole class is just staring at him. And Tyler is just sitting there. I didn't even ask to be born. 2 days later, it's this girl Chloe's birthday. She felt bad for Tyler. And she came in that day and she followed the rules. Technically. She walks in with a sandwich bag full of Tic Tacs. 1 Tic Tac for each kid, individually handed out. For my beloved classmates, I brought you all a snack. Enjoy the feast. Class is dying. People are clapping. Teacher's trying to hold it together, but you can see the vein popping in her face. Okay, I see. You're making fun of me. You think this is a joke. It's okay. The whole class just starts mocking this teacher and the rule and praising Chloe for this hilarious kind of stunt she pulled. The teacher just snaps. Fine. You know what? Birthday snacks are canceled. Forgive me for trying to make everyone's birthday a fun time. I honestly can't believe you guys. Get over it. What a wild thing for a teacher to do. It's their birthday, yet they're getting in trouble if they don't bring snacks in. Get out of my face. Does he, ever talk? Nah. Not once, all year. So this new kid transfers to the school halfway through the year. Middle school. Kinda tall, quiet, doesn't talk to anybody. At first, people think, well, maybe he's just shy. But then weeks go by, and nothing. Not a word. No volunteering, no answering questions, not even a here during roll call. He does every assignment, he scores high on tests, but still, not a single word. No, it gets to the point where people just stop trying. He's the quiet kid, and that's it. Then one day, it's May. There's a sub in math class. She goes down the roll sheet, gets to his name. Evan. And for the first time all year, he goes, "Here." The whole room freezes. Did he just... Yep. Out of his... And that's when his cousin, who's been in the same class the entire time, pulls out a crumpled $50 bill out of his backpack and hands it to this kid. Turns out, back in January, they made a deal. Alright, so you're transferring to my school after the holidays. I bet you can't go the rest of the year without saying a word. Well, I bet you I can. They made a frickin' bet. If he had lost the bet, he would have had to eat a raw onion. $50 and his cousin buys him a meal from Cane's. Good deal to me. You canceled my birthday party? For a B+? Actions have consequences. So this one student got a B+ in math. Not too bad, right? Well, not according to his dad. The dad walks into the room holding the kid's report card. A B+? Are you kidding me? Dad, it's still above average. It's a really hard class. Well, it's not good enough. Give me your phone, now. Wait, what? No phone, and I'm canceling your birthday dinner. Yo, are you serious? Dead serious. The next morning, the dad emails the teacher, saying stuff like, "Why didn't you push my child harder? He's clearly capable of more. You're supposed to challenge him, not let him slack off." The teacher writes back, "Your son has the highest grade in class. He's the only one that got above a B. I'm actually very proud of him." His dad is crazy. The kid finds out about this email. He walks up to his dad and says, "So, can I have my phone back now and maybe my birthday?" The dad just stares at him and walks away. Happy birthday to me, I guess. This kid got suspended for selling pencil insurance. So this kid, right, he's kind of smart, he's kind of funny, he definitely knows how to game the system. He notices that every day in every class, someone, every single day, asks to borrow a pencil. So he starts offering a deal. $1 pencil insurance covers you for the entire week. If you lose your pencil, boom, he'll replace it. Need an eraser? You're covered, he's got you. It's actually a good deal. It's way cheaper than buying a full pack at the store. And it absolutely blows up. By Thursday of that week, 15 kids are covered on this pencil insurance. He starts giving out policy numbers. He makes sure that he has one of his insurance agents in every classroom that has an insured client. Carries around a binder, he has terms and conditions. One teacher sees all this and says, "Hey, you can't run a business in class." "It's not a business, sir. It's insurance." The next week, he starts offering platinum packages. $3 a week gets you mechanical pencils. $5 a week gets you 2 pencils every time you lose or break one. That's when the admin gets involved. "Are you selling items on school property?" "No, sir, I'm providing peace of mind." They then suspend him for unauthorized commerce. But on his way out of the building, he sees one of his clients. He says to him, "If you need pencils while I'm gone, talk to my cousin. Spread the word." And his cousin, who did go to that same school, took over for him in his absence. That's absolutely awesome. So a subscriber sent in this story. This one comes from an 8th grader in Missouri who had a teacher. We'll call this teacher Mrs. K. Now, at the end of the school day, most teachers were fine with students having their phones out. Cause, it's the end of the day. It's chill time. But not Mrs. K. Mrs. K had this insane rule. If she caught you with your phone out, she would call your parents. She would then lie about why you had to stay after school, and then she would lock you in a closet. That's real. So one day, it's the end of the day, and this 8th grader gets a text from their mom. They check it really quick, and boom, Mrs. K sees it. Phone now. She snatches this kid's phone, and in front of the entire class, she calls this kid's parents. "Hi, this is your kid's teacher. I'm calling to inform you that your child is failing my class. I highly suggest your kid stays after school today with me while I help them study for the upcoming test." "Well, I'll have your kid call you when we're done. Bye-bye." So school ends and this kid heads to Mrs. K's classroom, hoping for the best, hoping Mrs. K is not going to be too hard on them. But that's not what happened. Mrs. K just said, "Since you were on your phone, you're getting in the closet." She locks this kid in the closet, and the kid's just sitting there scared, crying all by themselves. But here is where the whole thing turns around. When that kid got home, they told their parents what had happened. They called the school immediately. The next day, they went into the school to speak with the principal. And shortly after that, Mrs. K was fired. And honestly, she definitely deserved it. Yo, dude, Jeff got office detention. What? He is so cooked. There was this one school where regular detention happened in room 117. Boring. You sit, you do your homework, you write an essay, standard stuff. But there was another kind of detention that nobody ever wanted to go to. They called it office detention. Only certain kids ever got it. No warning, no explanation. Just a slip handed to them that said, report to the principal's office, 3 o'clock. God, no! Once they walked in, the door shut behind them. There were no windows in this office, which made it 10 times worse. No phones allowed. You weren't allowed to do your homework. You weren't allowed to do anything. What you did have to do in office detention was this. Just sit there, across from the principal, in total silence, staring at each other. Have a seat. Okay, this is office detention. Shh. Look at me. Once they were settled, no one would say a word. Nobody would move. It would just be complete silence for an entire hour. And if you broke the silence, the hour would start over. Nobody knew what the point was. There was no lesson, there was no scolding. Just slow, silent, psychological punishment, which in my opinion is horribly messed up. But I guess the weirdest part is it worked. The kids that went there never got it again. That's just insane. This story's hilarious. When this girl was little, for some reason, she thought sneezing was hilarious. The scene in Beauty and the Beast where Belle's dad sneezes in his workshop and dust flies everywhere, she loved it. She would rewind it and watch it over and over again. Well, one day, when she was in kindergarten, she somehow found out that a student who was in first grade was very allergic to pollen. So she had an idea. Every day at recess, she would go outside, pick a handful of dandelions, and chase her around the playground. Come here, come here. No. And when she would get close enough, she would shove the dandelions in this girl's face. Well, it got to a point where one day at recess, she was chasing her around with dandelions as usual. But this time, the reaction was more than a sneeze. She was sent to the hospital. And from that day on, whenever she wanted to watch someone sneeze, she would just go on YouTube. Oh, the water fountain smells like a dead animal. Let me see. One time at this one middle school, the janitor was deep cleaning the cafeteria, and I guess he found a dead goldfish, like a full-on carnival prize goldfish floating in the mop bucket. Nobody knows how it got there, and for some reason, I'm not making this up, he shoves the goldfish down the drain of the water fountain. Like, just shoves it, jams it in there, and he just leaves it. And the next day, the water fountain starts spraying water that smells, well, fishy. Smells horrible. Kids are gagging in the hallways. Teachers are covering their mouths walking to class. Yo, what is that smell? The admin of the school think it's a sewage pipe that burst. They call the county. They have someone come out. They shut down half the school by lunchtime. Meanwhile, one 6th grader starts taking empty water bottles and is bottling the water of this fishy fountain. And he starts selling it for $1 a bottle. He's calling it limited edition bottled school water. And kids are buying it just to dare each other to drink it. It was wild. He only made like $10, but still, you gotta respect the hustle on that, I guess. Anyway, they eventually decided to replace every single water fountain in that school. And after some investigating, they found a mushy, nasty, dead goldfish. And they had no idea what happened for the longest time, till one day that janitor confessed. That's the craziest story I've ever heard. Dude, don't shoot it from there. If it sticks, I'm a legend. It started with one kid. He was bored during history class, and he sat in the last row of the room. So because he was bored, he pulled a rubber band from his backpack, and he shot it at the wall behind him. Thwap! It stuck to the wall. No one noticed. The next day, he did it again. Nice! Thwap! 2 rubber bands stuck to the wall, and then it became this thing. It was like an unspoken challenge for the kids that sat in the back of the room. The challenge would be to see if your rubber band can stick to the wall. And kids did whatever it took. They dipped these rubber bands in spit, juice, soda, anything that made them tacky enough to hold. It was disgusting, but it worked. And over time, the wall started to change. There were layers. Bands stuck on top of other bands. It looked like some weird, stretchy art project. And the teacher, he never turned around. He was one of those teachers that stood in the front of the class the whole time and he lectured from the board. He never noticed a thing. But then one day, they got a sub, and the sub noticed immediately. She walks in, she sees the wall, and she freezes. Oh. And all the students are waiting her to be grossed out or to snitch to the principal or something. But instead, she walks over, pulls out a pen, and leaves a note on the wall. When she walked away, the kids checked the note. All the note said was respect. That's awesome. So there was this teacher, strict, rule obsessed. Didn't matter what the rule was, if you didn't follow it, you were done. One day, the student, let's call him Marcus, starts coughing in class. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out his inhaler. Doesn't say anything, doesn't interrupt the class, he just takes his inhaler. And the teacher stops the entire lesson. Excuse me, what is that? That's my inhaler, I have asthma. She walks over, takes it out of his hand and goes, you can't just use things like this during my instruction. I'm putting this on my desk. Now, I forgot to mention that this teacher was kind of one of those super old, mean teachers, so, maybe she's losing it, because who would do this? Anyway, this kid tries to explain, but she doesn't care. She takes his inhaler and puts it on her desk. If it's that serious, go to the nurse. Otherwise, follow classroom rules. Marcus just sits there, wheezing, staring at the inhaler in front of the room. Well, after class, he actually goes to the nurse and tells her what happened. And the nurse is absolutely livid. She talks to the principal, she calls Marcus's mom, she files a report. Within 24 hours, there's a giant meeting at the school, and this teacher's there. No one knows exactly what happened in that meeting, but the principal pulled Marcus aside afterwards and told him that he was free to use his inhaler whenever he felt he needed to. Marcus never said another word to her in her class, but he used his inhaler whenever he wanted, and she didn't say a single thing. Now, this may not be related to what she did, but at the end of that year, that teacher retired. Good. So this one guy's at Lowe's, and he's shopping solo. DIY plumbing situation. He's in the aisle looking for parts. He's totally zoned in. When, out of nowhere, he kind of tweaks and had a little freak out moment. Turns out, it was a yellow lab. The dog sniffed him. That's it, just a little snout boop. Nothing more. But this guy spins around like, what the hell, man? And the dog owner is like, you'll be alright, man, chill. Now, any normal person would have taken a breath and been like, okay, yeah, you're right. Hi, what a good boy, But this guy loses it. That is not your call to make. Don't tell me I'll be alright. Are you kidding me? He's just full-blown going off on this dude. And the guy calmly says this. Lowe's is dog-friendly, right? He sniffed you, man. Big deal. You're just being a jackass now. And our guy says this right before he walks away. Off. He grabs his stuff. He storms to customer service. I want to file a complaint. About what? A dog sniffed me. So yeah, he left mad, still very much heated, over a dog sniff. Imagine being that guy. Everybody shoes off before the test. But I'm not wearing socks. Well, that's too damn bad. So this teacher had a rule, a very specific rule. Before every test, shoes had to come off. No exceptions. It didn't matter if you didn't have any socks on. It didn't matter if it was cold. She said it helped keep the energy in the room settled and grounded. Her exact words were, your mind works better when your feet can breathe. Obviously, at first, people thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She even had a bin by the front door labeled testing shoes. That's where students would put their shoes in when they got in the classroom on test day. And if you did forget to wear socks, she had loaner socks, like actual backup socks that she kept in her drawer. People rarely used them, but they were there. But one day, one kid walks in and he doesn't take his shoes off. He just sits down. He begins the test, and then she stops everything. Hey, you need to remove your shoes or leave the room. And he's like, you know what, miss? Is this even in the handbook? Are you even allowed to do this? She doesn't answer him. She just stares at him, walks over to his desk, and writes a big 0 on it. That's when he gets up, walks to the office, and tells them everything. The next week, a new policy came down. No teacher may require students to remove shoes. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. One day at this one middle school, a teacher walked past the lockers and stopped. What is that? Beef jerky. It was a full, seasoned pack of beef jerky, just sitting on top of one of the lockers. He took it down, threw it out, and he thought nothing of it. Where did that come from? Anyway, the next day, same locker, new beef jerky pack. What? He's like, okay, what's going on? He throws it out again. Day after that, boom, another one. Okay, what the heck? Every single day. Take it down, a new one shows up. Take it down, a new one shows up. He even tried to catch whoever was doing this, like a stakeout, waiting around the corner with his coffee like it was a mission. Well, I'm gonna get you, you little monster, I'm gonna get you. But he missed it. He could never catch the person doing this. And word started spreading to the students. That locker area became a spectacle. Whenever the jerky would show up, students would be around taking pictures of it and honoring it like it was a shrine. And get this, it kept happening for a month. Sometimes the locker would change, sometimes it would be hidden better, but every single day, somewhere in the school, there would be beef jerky. Then one day it just stopped. No warning, no reveal, no note, no nothing. To this day, no one knows who did it. And honestly, that's legend behavior right there. Respect to the beef jerky kid. One day, this kid came to middle school with pink eye. He didn't really tell anybody about it, because if the school knew he had pink eye, they would make him stay home. Well, this was right around the time where classes were having some of their biggest tests of the year, and students were getting stressed out. Oh dude, I couldn't study at all this week. I'm gonna fail this test, like, it's bad. I tried my best. Hopefully I passed, but you know. What's wrong with your eye, dude? I have pink eye. Oh my god, you have pink eye? Why are you here? Because they're serving chicken nuggets at lunch today. I can't miss that. Dude, if you give me pink eye right now, I'll have it by tomorrow and I won't be able to take the test. Gives me more time. Dude, alright, $10. Okay, here. Alright, you ready? Go for it. Okay. Well, word spread, and that day, this dude made $350. The school got pretty suspicious why tons and tons of students had pink eye at the same time. They couldn't really pin it on anybody. And it was a win-win. This kid made some good money, and tons of students were able to pass their tests because they had more time to study.
Yay!
So this girl's about to start high school, 9th grade. New school, new classes, and she just got her course selection sheet for the next year. She fills it out on her own. She just picks what she wants to take. You know, she doesn't want to overwhelm herself, which I totally get. It's her first year in a brand new school. It's high school, you know, and she's just trying to get through the transition without drowning in homework. Yeah, I would do the same. A few days later, her mom finds the form, and she loses it. Why did you pick all the easiest courses? What happened to preparing for college? Mom, I picked all the easy ones because I don't want to drown in work. It's high school, and I'm not even sure if I want to go to university yet. She didn't say she's dropping out. She didn't say that she's never going to learn again. She just said, I'm 13, Mom, I just don't know. But that's not enough for her mom. Her mom is accusing her of slacking, saying she's just trying to avoid homework. Then she notices that she didn't sign up for music class, and she flips out again. Why didn't you sign up for music class? You are so good at music. Because if I take music, I have to join the band, and band practice is at 5 a.m., Mom. So? She's 13. She doesn't want honors classes and pre-sunrise saxophone rehearsals. The mom ended up forcing her to take the classes that she wanted her to take, which, in my opinion, is so messed up. And I just want to tell her, don't be confused when your daughter doesn't want to talk to you in 5 years. One day, this school had a guest speaker come for an assembly. The whole school was packed into the gym. Hundreds of students, everyone bored out of their mind. The speaker was some local business guy, and all he was going to be doing was talking about leadership and hard work. Nobody was paying attention until about 20 minutes in, a student, let's call him Kevin, stood up. Excuse me! The entire gym went silent. Everyone looked at him. Even the speaker stopped mid-sentence. And in a serious, confident voice, the kid says, I have a question. Yeah, totally. What's your question? And then Kevin, without hesitation, asked, would you rather fight a gorilla once a year but you get a sword? Or have to fight a chicken every time you open a door forever? The entire gym lost it. The teachers were stunned. The speaker stood there processing. Finally, I think I'd take the gorilla. And Kevin just nodded. Respectable choice. And he sat back down. Well, as you can imagine, the entire assembly was completely derailed. For the next 10 minutes, students were arguing about the gorilla or the chicken. The gorilla's the obvious choice. I mean, what are you gonna do? Every single time you open a door, you gotta fight a chicken? I just won't open doors, you idiot. Like, that's realistic. How are you gonna go forever without opening doors? Principal finally got on the mic. Everybody shut up! And the assembly was cut short right then and there. And after that, the would you rather fight a gorilla or a chicken became the most debated question in this school's history. People were making posters and hanging them on the wall. Gorilla versus chicken. Kevin never really said anything about it after that day. But for the rest of high school, people would walk past him in the hall and just whisper, hey Kevin, respectable choice. And that's how he became a legend. So one day in 8th grade, this school had a fire drill. Pretty normal, the alarm goes off, and the teacher lines everybody up. But this one kid, he had a plan. I have a plan. See, earlier that week, the teacher said something that gave him an idea. If there's ever a fire class, you should only take the essentials, okay? So, while everyone walked out with nothing, this kid sprinted out carrying his entire desk, chair included. He was full speed hauling it through the hallway. Hey, why are you taking your desk? Young man, what are you doing? And he just yelled back, "It's an essential!" And then outside, while the whole school stood in the parking lot, he sat down at his desk, like it was a normal school day. He started pulling out his notebooks and he was taking fake notes. The kid was a real comedian. Everyone was dying of laughter. Teachers were too confused to even yell at him. And then when the principal finally came over and asked, "Hi, what are you doing?" he just shrugged and said, "I thought we were evacuating, so I evacuated my education." Okay. And after that, every single fire drill, someone tried to take something bigger out with them. It became this crazy thing that people were doing, until one day the principal got on the intercom and begged, "During fire drills, students, please, stop taking the furniture outside with you. Please." Honestly, that kid's a legend. Yo, did they lock the vending machine? Yeah, after what happened to Steven. What happened to Steven? So this kid Steven, 7th grader, he's got a total sweet tooth. Well, one day during lunch, he brings like $15 in change, dumps it in the vending machine, and he goes to town. 6 honey buns, 2 Pop-Tarts, and a pack of powdered donuts. Back to back to back to frickin' back. Now a teacher walks by and says, "Hey, that's a lot of sugar, buddy." "It's my money and it's my stomach." 2 periods later, Steven is in PE and he's running laps when suddenly he stops dead in his tracks. Hands on knees, face pale, and then he pukes everywhere. Like a full cinnamon glaze explosion all over the gym floor. Janitor shows up unfazed. Because, of course, janitors are frickin' awesome. Well, after that, the principal has a full-on panic attack. The school blames the vending machines. The next morning, padlocks are on both machines, all the snacks have been taken out, and there's a sign there. Until further notice, snacks are suspended. Now kids are furious with Steven, like he's a frickin' honey bun villain. Every time Steven walks down the hallway, "Thanks a lot, Steven. Really could've used a Pop-Tart today, man. Screw you." Tried to apologize, but it was too late. Once the snacks had gone, there was no coming back. Poor kid. This kid got life advice from a guy eating string cheese. This kid was 14. He was having a rough week. He was failing a class, his friends were acting super weird. He had just gotten into a fight with his mom, who said, "You know what, why don't you take a walk and don't come back till you figure yourself out." Oof, tough break. So he left. He went to a park and sat on a bench. Just sitting there, staring at a duck that looked as lost as he felt.
Quack, quack, quack.
Then this guy walks by, mid-30s, fishing hat on and a pole in hand, and he was eating string cheese. But he was eating it like a menace, not peeling it, just munching right into it. The guy slows down and goes, "Hey, you good?" This kid doesn't answer, he just shrugs. The guy nods like he gets it, and he says, "Cool. Just remember this, most stuff doesn't make sense when you're in it, but it will later. So don't quit until it starts to make sense, alright?" This guy takes one last bite of his string cheese, throws the wrapper in the trash, and adds one last thing. Also, learn to cook one thing really well. That's important. That kid never saw that guy ever again. But he went home, and he made scrambled eggs. And honestly, they weren't that bad. Respect to that guy. Wait, is he breathing? No, he's fine. He's built for this. This kid walks into class one day, and he realizes there's a quiz. Well, he didn't study at all. So instead of taking a 0, he decides to take a gamble. You see, there was this massive beanbag chair in the back of the classroom. Like one of those giant overstuffed ones that sinks when you sit in it, almost like it's quicksand. Well, this kid, he was small. Like strategically small, you know? The kind of kid who can blend in anywhere if he wanted to. So he gets into class a little bit early. He looks at the beanbag and then he looks at the clock. Oh, okay. And he just goes for it. He walks to the back of the room, lowers himself in the beanbag, and just disappears. And it completely swallows him. Gone. No limbs, no face, just beanbag. From the teacher's desk, it looks empty back there. Just looked like a normal beanbag. She hands out the quiz, starts the timer, and doesn't say a word. She assumes this kid's absent. Meanwhile, he's just inside this beanbag, curled up in silence, just riding it out. And just as the bell rings and everybody else is grabbing their stuff, getting ready to leave the classroom, he rises from this beanbag like a ghost and just walks out. And to this day, that teacher still thinks he was absent on that quiz day. That's absolutely crazy. Hey, yo, what's your name? Why? Just answer the question, man. So at this one high school, there's this senior named Jordan. And he's not just popular, he's influential. Like, if he were to wear pajama pants to school one day, the next day, half the school would also be wearing pajama pants. If he calls you something in the hallway, people would hear it, and that's your name now. And he knows that. Hey, Your name? Emily? Cool, that'll be $5. What? You can pay me $5 or I pick something else. You'll pick a different name for me, like what? You don't want to find out. At first, people think he's joking, until one poor kid refuses to pay, and is known as Meat Wallet for the rest of the semester. Even the sub called him that one day. After that, everyone started paying. Yo, did you get a name yet? Yeah, I paid him yesterday. I'm Connor now. But your name is Connor. Exactly. Thank God I paid him. By homecoming, he made over $200. One kid's name is still Pockets, and no one knows why. This was a pretty small town school, so that's probably why something like this was flying around. But in the end, he wasn't just selling names. He was selling protection from pure humiliation. Weird hustle. But I respect it. Where'd he get all this stuff? I don't know. But it's beautiful. So sophomore year of high school, this one kid puts a bin outside the cafeteria. Taped to the side, it says, "Unofficial lost and found." Nobody thinks much of it, and people start using it. A water bottle here, a hoodie there. Stuff just starts showing up in the bin. And every day, it's empty again. Clean, wiped out. No one knows where the stuff from the previous day went. And no one asked. At first, people think he's just bringing it to the office. Even the teachers were like, "Oh, that's so nice of him. He's helping out the school staff. Here, I found this shoe." But he never actually confirms what he's doing with the stuff. He even moves the bin around. Some days he's outside the library with it. Other days he's by the gym. Sometimes he's spotted walking the hallway alone, picking stuff up like he's actively looking for lost items. And this goes on for 2 years. So, senior year, the last day of school. You know, it's pretty relaxed. People were just wandering the schools. Easy day, you know? It's the last day. Well, there's a paper sign taped to the gym doors. The sign said, "The Hall of the Misplaced." People walk in, they're curious. What is this place? Oh my God. This kid turned the gym into a full-blown museum. Tables, spotlights, handwritten labels, all of the missing stuff displayed. He made sections. The wall of gloves, the charger graveyard. The fact that this dude's been pulling this off for 2 years is insane. At 3:45 that day, he packed up everything and left with the stuff. He didn't even give it back to the people that wanted it back. After he walked out, he was gone. And he didn't even show up to graduation. Honestly, that dude's a legend. A secret he'll take to the grave. When this guy was a kid, his school had this huge field day event that they did every single year. Basically, on this day, students were free to roam around the school, there were games, prizes, it was incredible. Everyone looked forward to it, but one year, everything changed. On field day, he was grabbing some lunch in the cafeteria. He was messing around with a friend when they saw a little basket of butter packets. He picked it up, put it on the floor, and stepped on it. Well, when he stepped on it, the packet popped and the butter shot across the lunchroom like a rocket, sliding on the floor. Dude, that was sick. Let's do it again. They kept stepping on these butter packets one after another, launching the butter across the floor and giggling to themselves. Hee, this is so fun. Right? Well, apparently all this butter had accumulated some feet in front of them in this kind of butter pile. And a teacher who was carrying a tray ended up walking right over it. I love field day. This is a great day. He crashed down hard and his tray of food went everywhere. Another teacher ran over. Oh my God, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. He was not okay. Something was seriously wrong. An ambulance was called, and he was shipped out. Well, apparently, this teacher was injured really badly. It was serious. Field day was shut down then and there. And the next day, the principal got on the intercom. "Attention, students! Due to an unfortunate incident, field day will be canceled indefinitely. We are launching an investigation into the events of yesterday's lunch." And that's when it hit him. Because of their stupid butter pack launching lunchtime, field day was canceled. What does that mean for next year? Well, I'll tell you what it means. There wasn't a field day next year. Or the year after that. He was never caught for what he did. And I guess the cameras in the lunchroom didn't pick up on this at all. A subscriber's 5th grade story. So this one comes from a subscriber who said, back in 5th grade, his homeroom teacher was just completely mean. Always mad about something. Well, one day in class, his friend made a funny face at him. And he giggled. That's it. Just a giggle. No big deal, right? Well, when he got home that day, his parents were furious. They said that the teacher had emailed them, saying that he was laying on the ground laughing at the teacher, making fun of her, and mocking her, which never happened. He tried to explain, "That's not what happened, I was just giggling at my friend." And his parents didn't believe him. And this didn't just happen once. It happened again and again and again. Each time the teacher would exaggerate a straight up lie in these emails home. Eventually his parents started to notice that something was off, and they brought it up to the principal. But the teacher didn't stop. One day she gave him 2 detentions back to back. And during one of those detentions, she walked into the room and said to his face, "You know something? You should really stop doing sports because you're obviously never gonna make it anywhere. You should just focus on your schoolwork and maybe you won't end up in detention. Okay? Have a good one." Bro. Once his parents found out that she said that, they told the principal. Once the principal found out that she said that, she was done. She got fired. Good riddance. Where's my marker? Where's my marker? Miss, there's another marker right there. It's not the same. So this teacher had a favorite marker. Not the kind of favorite where she used it. It was the kind of favorite where she just talked about it a lot and kept it close. It was a purple Expo marker with a chisel tip. She called it her thinking marker. You know, she would use it to teach and whatever. She kept it in a separate drawer and she said that nobody was allowed to use it. One day she opens the drawer and it's gone. She pulls the drawer out of her desk, turns around and holds it up to the class. "Who took my purple marker?" Class is confused. They're like, "Here we go." But she doesn't start class. She just paces the room. You know, I'm not even mad. I'm just really, really disappointed in you guys. That marker was a gift. It meant something to me. And everyone's just sitting there like, yo, is she crying? Over a marker? Then she locks the door. "We are not leaving until it's returned." She gives a whole 15-minute speech. She called it a teachable moment in betrayal. People started checking their bags just to prove that they didn't have it. They were dumping everything out like, "Miss, we don't have your frickin' marker, lady." Eventually, someone finds this purple marker under her desk. It rolled behind a storage box that she kept down there. She picks it up, holds it in the air, and she says, "See? This is why trust matters, you guys." Class ended 10 minutes late that day because of this teacher's nonsense, and nobody learned a thing, except for the fact that maybe she is weirdly in love with an Expo marker. Craziest things kids did in school. At one middle school, there was a student who would later be known as Cheeseburger Kid, and here is why. One day, right before lunch, he left the school. He walked around the school and found an area of the building that would be easy to climb. Perfect. He then scaled the building and got on the roof. Now, the cafeteria at this school had skylights, windows that looked to the sky. Once he was on the roof, he made his way over to one of the skylights above the cafeteria. He pulled a brick out of his backpack and then he jumped down. The cafeteria was selling cheeseburgers, and his plan was to steal all of them and escape. "Hey, somebody stop that kid!" He even punched a lunch lady. "You stop right now! You stop right now!" Well, finally, the police show up and grabbed him. He bit the police officer's hand, and then he went to juvie, never to be heard of again. This kid named Matt was spending the night at his friend's house for the first time. They had been best friends since the start of the year, but he had actually never stayed at his house before. Everything was pretty normal at first. Pizza, video games, all that. Before bed, the dad walks into their room and says, "All right, boys, remember, no flushing the toilet after 10 p.m., okay?" Matt just laughs. He thinks the guy's joking. "This ain't no joke, son. I'm serious. If you have to go, go, but don't flush until morning." Then he just walks out. What's that about, dude?" "Yeah, man, my dad's really strict about the water bill. He says flushing at night's a waste." "Bro, what if I gotta dump one?" "You just don't, okay?" Alright, weird, but whatever. Matt and this kid go to sleep. Fast forward to 2 a.m. Matt wakes up, and of course, he's gotta go to the bathroom. He tries to hold it, but it's impossible. His stomach is rumbling, if you catch my drift. Finally, he sneaks out of bed. He heads to the bathroom. He's extra quiet. He does his business and then stands up. When he stands up and looks into the toilet, he's debating. Should I flush or not? There's literal in there. He's gonna flush. This is stupid. Big mistake. Within seconds, he hears footsteps. Fast footsteps. Coming straight for the bathroom. Before he can even react, the door swings open. His friend's dad is wide awake, standing there, staring at him. Get out. Okay, I'm going back to sleep. No. Get out of my house. All right. It was 2 in the morning. He had to call his parents, wake them up, and they had to come get him. He told his parents what happened, and they never let him go to his best friend's house ever again. Head up, do you have your nap slip? My what? So this school had a rule. You were not allowed to put your head down on a desk unless your parents signed a literal nap permission form. Like it was a frickin' field trip or something. So this is the type of stuff that would happen. Like one day, this kid named Noah, he got himself a pretty bad headache. Not faking it, he's not being dramatic, he's just tired and his head is pounding. He lowers his head on his arms for like 2 seconds and the teacher is on him. Hey, head up unless you have the slip. You're kidding me, right? Nope, it's a classroom policy. And for that day, she marked him down as non-participating, and he got a bunch of points taken off. Well, his grade drops, and he's pretty upset by this. This teacher's pretty stubborn, so he's trying to figure out ways to beat her, but he decides ultimately to just follow the rules. He was gonna follow the rules in an awesome way. He went home to his parents, and he had his parents create him a nap participation slip. The slip was laminated, and it had a lanyard around it. So he comes back with that signed, laminated, customizable nap permission slip. Boom, miss. Certified for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year, whenever he wanted to put his head down or he wasn't feeling too well, he would just pull out a slip and slam it on the desk. Okay. I got clearance, miss. Super weird rule, super weird teacher, but I guess that kid's a legend. I don't know. No one has ever got 100% in my class. Oh yeah? Watch this. So there's this teacher that every single day brags that no one has ever got 100% in my class. My tests are just too hard. You know, and everyone just kind of tunes her out. But this one kid, let's call him Chris. Chris studies like crazy. He wants to prove her wrong, takes every quiz, takes every chance for extra credit. Final exams come, and he's locked in. He's done, turns it in, he's feeling very confident. The next day, the teacher passes out the exams. 98%? Damn, you did good. Almost too good. Were you cheating? I'm just kidding. My tests are hard. No, I mean I should have got 100%. Okay, settle down, alright? I'm serious. Pull out the answer key. See? Look, right there. Wrong and wrong. Chris looks at the 2 questions she marked wrong. Then he looks at her key. One of them is a trick question. The other answer on her key is just flat out wrong. My answer is right, miss. Your key's wrong. No, it's not. That's absolutely impossible. Chris grabs a textbook off her desk. Flips open to the exact page he needs. Slaps it down. Right there. Paragraph 3. She leans over and reads it. Chris just smiles. So do I get my 100 or do you need me to grade the rest of the class as well? She doesn't say a word. She just crosses off the 98% and quickly scribbles 100% on his test. After that day, she never bragged about her tests being hard ever again. Wait, are we friends or am I just your study guide? What? So this girl's like super smart. She's always making group projects super easy. She shares her notes, she always helps her friends study, and she doesn't complain. But one day she noticed something. Nobody texts her unless it's about school. Nobody invites her to anything. Nobody asks her how she's doing. Just stuff like, hey, what's the answer to number 4? Can you send me the notes, please? Hey, do you have the homework from yesterday? But then she realized the group chat she's in with all her friends, they only ever talk about the homework. And she finds out that there's a separate group chat that she's not even in. She didn't even get invited to Kayla's birthday party. The next day at lunch, she sits down with her group of friends. She looks them all in the eye and she says, quick question, who here knows my birthday? Or my mom's name? Or my dog's name? Or my middle name? Dead silence. One girl mumbles, isn't your birthday like December 25th? That's Christmas Day. And no. Oh, I love Christmas. The girl then stands up and says, well, you guys can figure out your own homework answers, study help on your own, okay? I'm out and I am done with all of you. Fine, we don't need you. Except they definitely did. After that day, they kept blowing up her phone when they needed homework or test help, and she just ignored it. Screw those friends. She made a new group of friends that actually appreciates her for who she is. So one day, in the middle of 3rd period, this one high school student stood up, didn't say a word, didn't pack up any of his stuff. He just got up and walked out. The teacher was stunned for a second before yelling, where do you think you're going? And without breaking stride, the kid just said, I've learned enough. The teacher was mad, everyone laughed, but they all assumed he would be back the next day. Except he wasn't. Not the next day, not the next week. But here's the crazy part, it's like the school almost let it happen. People were constantly asking, is he suspended? Did he get expelled? Did he transfer? Nobody had an answer. Well, one day, this concerned student went to the office to ask for himself. Hey, do you have any idea where Johnny's been? Johnny Stevenson? The secretary said, well, it says here that he's still enrolled in the school, so maybe you just missed him. He was still enrolled, but nobody's seen him. He didn't drop out. He was still a student, but nobody had seen him for months. Then at the end of the year, something even weirder happened. It was graduation day. The principal was reading names, and suddenly they read his name. Johnny Stevenson! Everybody froze. People were stunned. There was a long, awkward silence. Then, at the back of the room, Johnny stood up, wearing a full cap and gown. He walked down the aisle, shook the principal's hand, took his diploma, and walked out. And still, nobody knows where Johnny went all that time. So this girl, Amy, she's 15, straight up running a business at her school. Like it's a full-on operation. She buys the snacks and drinks in bulk. She breaks them up and sells them individually at a markup. Classic black market school economy. She's been doing this for 2 years now, and she's not out here just hoarding the cash that she makes. She's buying stuff. She's using her profits to buy clothes, shoes, whatever she wants. She doesn't ask her parents for money, she earns it. And her mom, well, her mom is like, why would I stop her? She's not selling anything illegal, her grades are fine, and I haven't had to buy her anything in months. I'm really proud of her. But the school? Oh no. They catch her and a few other snack dealers and boom, week of detentions. And they warn her, one more time and you're suspended. Please, okay. Now the dad's losing his mind. No, honey, this is serious, okay? She's risking her education. She needs to be grounded. And the mom's like, grounded for what? Capitalism? Like, for real, what are we doing here, you guys, She's not disrupting class, she's not failing. In fact, she's doing better than she has before. She's not pushing anything shady. She's just really good at business. The mom says this, the school's obviously making something out of nothing. It's not like she's slinging crank behind the vending machines. And honestly, I get it. I understand, rules are rules, but let's be real here. Half these schools don't teach the kids anything useful anyways. Good for her, for respecting her own hustle. And if that was my school, I'd be asking for her supply chain. Big ups to Amy. So this school lets seniors submit quotes for their yearbook photos. Most people pick stuff like, thanks mom, or most likely to be a Riz God. Stuff like that. But this one senior, the kid who was always kind of getting in trouble, submitted this quote. He wanted his quote to say, at least I'm not the principal. Apparently this kid and the principal had some long-standing beef. Everybody thought it was going to get flagged. Edited out. There was no way it makes it in the yearbook. Except it did. His quote was in the yearbook. At least I'm not the principal. The yearbook got delivered. People started flipping through, and then they found it. Page 142, bottom row, there he is. It blew up. People were taking pictures of it and posting on their social media. It was like a monument, a meme in this school. The next day, the principal calls him down to the office. So you are not walking at graduation. What? It was just a joke. Yeah, a joke. At my expense. Actions have consequences, I'm sorry. That sucked. Yes, he was still graduating, but he wasn't allowed to walk at the ceremony. But this is the epic part. Fast forward a few weeks to graduation day. And obviously this kid doesn't walk. But his friends do. And under their gowns, they're all wearing t-shirts that say, at least I'm not the principal. And when their name was called and they would get up there, they would unzip and show the t-shirt. Oh my god. Best prank ever. So this small town school incorporated a new rule. No hats ever. Not in class, not in the hallways, not even during lunch. Didn't matter the type. Snapback? No. What? Baseball cap? No. Bucket hat? Definitely no. Hey! The teachers said that this rule was about respect and uniformity. The principal kept saying stuff like, this is an institution of learning, not a fashion show, folks. But one day, this kid comes in wearing a helmet. Like a full-on bike helmet strapped under his chin. Just sitting in class like it's completely normal. The teacher sees him. Why are you wearing a helmet in my class? You know the rules, no hats. Oh, it's not a hat. It's for safety. Nice try. You need to take it off. Actually, no, I don't. There's nothing in the handbook that says I can't wear protective headgear. She tries to argue with him, but he just smiles and says, look, you can ban hats, but this is personal protection. What if a ceiling tile falls? What if I trip and fall? Miss, I'm just being cautious. He wore it all day. He wore it to lunch. He wore it to gym. They called his parents. His parents said, hey, if he wants to wear a helmet, that's his right, okay? Better safe than sorry. So the school had no choice, because helmets are protective gear. They couldn't ban it, and all of a sudden, other students began joining in. By the end of the week, you had tons of kids wearing baseball helmets, lacrosse masks, skating helmets. It was iconic. However, they did eventually put this specific rule in the handbook. Students must not wear hats or helmets in school unless they have a doctor's note. That's kind of awesome.
ও সরি, আমি আমার কাকে কি বলি? তুমি তো আমার 1 লক্ষ টাকা বেতনের চাকরিই করো না, তুমি কি হয়ে দিবা?
আমি বুঝি আমার মেয়ের সিকিউরিটি। শোনো, তোমাকে 15 লাখ টাকাই দিতে হবে একটা, কিন্তু আমি এখানে এক মুহূর্ত আর থাকবো না। আমার এখানে দম বন্ধ হয়ে মারা যাবো আমি।
শৈলী রাতে বাড়িতে চলে এসেছে। তাছাড়া
তুমি যাচ্ছ বিপরীতে, আবেগ বাড়ছে বহু।
ভাই আজকে না ভাই, বুঝছেন কাজের চাপও বেশি আর বাসায় ফিরতে হবে। সিঙ্গেল মোড
মানে পরিচিত কোনো আদার্স ভালো অপশন যদি থাকে সেখানেও আমাকে একটু রেফার করেন।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, তুমি প্যারা নিও না।
ওইভাবেই বাবার সাথে কথা বলবো। এখন তুমি কি বলো বলো, কিন্তু এখন আমাদের একটা সুস্থ জীবনে ফিরে আসা উচিত, একটা নর্মাল লাইফ লিড করা উচিত।
না হলে না হবে, আমার কোনো প্যারা নাই তো। আরে চাকরিটা
আর কত বলবো তোরে?
শোনো মা, প্রোগ্রাম আছে, ওটা শেষ করেই আসবে, আমাকে বলেছে, কথা হয়েছে।
আর আসছে যেমন ছেলে।
হ্যাঁ বাবা।
সবসময় কি পাওয়াতেই সুখ? তোমার গল্পটা না হয় না পাওয়াতেই হলো, তাতে ক্ষতি কি?
গাইতে থাকো, অনেক কথা মুখর আমায় দেখো।
আমি ওকে ভালোবাসি বাবা।
আমি জানি তুই ওকে ভালোবাসিস। ও সুস্থ থাকলে তো কোনো কথাই ছিল না।
জুতা এখানে কি করতেছে তোর? ও জোড়া আকাশ থেকে নেমে এলো ছোট্ট একটি প্লেন, আমি কুচলে মেরে চলে ভাইয়া, ওর লুকাতে হবে। পালাও।
বুঝেছি, কবিগুরু বলছে যে বুঝাইলে নাকি বিপদ হয়। আমার বিপদ হয়ে গেছে, জুতো চুরি হয়ে গেছে আমার।
যখন টাকা হবে তখন নিয়ে যাব, তারপর সেই জাহাজ নামাবো কোথায় জানো? সমুদ্রে।
ইসেম আমি তো পাগল মাস কয়া।
আমি এটা খেলে কি তোমাকে মারবা?
না, তুমি তো খাচ্ছ, আমি কি তোমাকে মারতেছি?
কবিগুরু রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর বলেছেন, সব ষড়যন্ত্র এই মির্জাফরের।
বাবা বারবার বলতেছে কারা জানি ওকে মারছে, একটু সাহস হয়েছে নাকি?
জানি না।
জানি না মানে? আমি তো ভাবলাম একটু একটু বেড়েছে, তা না হলে এখানে ডাকলে।
একটা ভালোবাসাকে, একটা সম্পর্ককে আমার আসলে দুটো নারী থেকে একটা নারীকে বেছে নিতে হয়েছে।
যেখানে কোনো সম্ভাবনা নেই সেখানে আপনার জীবন জড়িয়ে নষ্ট করে কি লাভ?
আমার একটা মা আছে, হ্যাঁ, মার কোলের ভিতরে তো বসে থাকি, দায়িত্ব অনেক।
তোর তো কিছুই ঠিক নাই, তুই আমার সাথে আয় তো আয়।
আমার সাথে আয় না। এক মিনিট এক মিনিট এক মিনিট এক মিনিট এক মিনিট এক মিনিট আপনার একটা মাস্টার্স কোর্স করা চলে। ওয়াই, হোয়াট ইজ দিস ম্যান?
ওই স্মোক করবো, আই হ্যাভ স্মোক।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, কিচ্ছু করতে হবে না, আমি গোসল করে দেবো, শান্ত ছেলের মতো বসে থাকবা। হ্যাঁ, প্রমিস?
কবিগুরু বলেছেন
ভাবো না, আমি হাঁটতে যাবো, আমার পেট বড় হয়ে যাবে না হলে।
তোর সুখের জন্য আমি সব করতে পারি, তুই তুই এভাবে ভেঙে পড়িস না। তুই ভেঙে পড়লে আমার খুব কষ্ট হয়।
আচ্ছা, চোখের গভীরতা কতটুকু পেলে?